This is Things I Found Online with Louise Palanker, Joe Cipriano, Larry Morgan. Beware, radio legends are exploring the internet.
Wow. The CGI in this show is impressive. We're live with our guests Matthew Jordan and Will Kohlschreiber. Joe Cipriano is a Trump traffic tragedy.
No, please. Let's make it very clear. Joe is still alive. He's fine as far as we know.
He's very alive, but Joe and Teresa, I think, are stuck in the Trump traffic.
Yeah.
Well, I was unable to get to the podcast today, thanks to the President of the United States. We had the 405 North is closed. We have Beverly Glen was closed, and Benedict Canyon was closed. And I was so close to getting to you guys, but I was denied.
I also think it's kind of a pretty strong metaphor for where our country is.
Can you extrapolate that a little further? And
Well,
you want to get into
I just think he's mucked up the works.
But at least I've gotten some coffee bean.
But we're not a political show.
Getting controversial right at the top.
Because when you go out on the internet, no politics.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a politics-free zone. The internet is just like, politics, meh, right?
It's all sunshine and roses on the internet.
Is that what? Yeah. Do we just have to figure that it's going to be this way forever? That now that we have established that this is the place to argue our viewpoints, that's all it's ever going to be?
I have a more positive outlook. Like, I think it's like, I think we're going through a racist death rattle as the world becomes.
Wow.
Okay.
So that's your positive take on it?
Yeah, because the world is clearly more global and tolerant and accepting of all humankind, and some people, that makes them nervous, and so they squawk on the internet, and I think Trump is sort of the pendulum swinging in that direction.
So you think there'll be some fatigue over this and things will calm down at some point?
Yeah, just look at This Is Us. It's a very multiracial family, and that's the world.
Are we multiracial?
Not this show. The show. NBC hit drama.
No.
This Is Us.
We hope.
This is us.
Yeah.
See.
No,
Yeah.
us is
Got it.
very white at the moment. From what I
Let's
can
just
tell.
hope that
Pasty.
things
Yeah.
we found online doesn't get nailed by Hollywood for being not diverse enough.
Yeah.
I think it may, Matthew.
We're working on it.
We need to adopt a black child. Quickly! Stat!
I'm
Is there an emoji for appalled? Because
Yeah.
you could use that right about now.
Life will be good. Enjoy the podcast.
wow.
So our guests in the studio are Matthew Jordan, who is a very talented musician, and TV newscaster / traffic reporter Will Kohlschreiber, who, by way of full disclosure, is a friend of the show and a premier radio veteran of.
Yes.
But Matthew and I go almost just as far back, because when I started out doing stand-up comedy, Matthew was like a tiny 14-year-old high school boy with a large piano who would show up at open mics.
Whoa.
Wow, that was
Whoa.
Yeah, he
that
would
was
show
an
up with
awkward way of phrasing that, Louise.
he would show up at open mics with a piano that was bigger than him.
Go.
Yeah, and we knew each other from before the internet. And then I think you went off to
Kind of.
Wow.
Kind of.
Dated
Barely.
herself there.
maybe the internet.
Is that
Otherwise,
how we measure each other's relationships? Is I knew you before the internet.
Right.
pre-internet.
Yeah, I had to actually call you on the phone or talk to you face to face. Ew.
Well, you know what I would do is I would get home from school and I would log on to AIM. It was before texting.
Sure.
I am.
Yeah, your AOL address.
RIP AIM.
Yeah.
And that was my.
Mom, I want to get on the internet. Hang up.
I remember the internet first using
Technology.
email at Premiere.
That's right.
That was where I was working when
That's
email
right.
was, I don't trust it. I don't know. Better write one and send it just in case.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would type up our scripts and then type them on the internet because we didn't, or on the word processing program, because like it's too magical.
Yeah, it can't happen.
It might go poof.
And sometimes it did.
And sometimes it did.
Yeah.
So Matthew is here, and we're going to Google him, because what happens when you come on this show, New School, is we Google you.
Oh, good.
Can you
Yeah.
Google Matthew, Dina?
Well, in that case, I'm glad I redid my website not too long ago.
You did. It's looking very
No,
impressive.
we're looking right at the Google page, Matthew.
P.S. You may or may not be the most popular Matthew Jordan on the internet.
Yeah.
There's a very well-known photographer, Matthew Jordan Smith, that I get confused for on Twitter often.
But the
because
So what
images
position did you play at USC?
in the images from Matthew
What position?
Jordan, one of them is a golfer.
Oh, there
So
was
that's always
there was a football player, Matthew Jordan, at USC while I went there, so that was not confusing at all.
Okay, so you're a fellow Trojan.
So go to the top
Fight
link
on.
because he does have the top. I think the
No, he doesn't.
no football. Oh, he's number 3. Well, that's pretty good for a common name like Matthew Jordan. So
Ouch.
click on that, if you will.
That is
And-
pretty good.
If you look
Yeah.
at Matthew
It is,
Jordan
yeah.
music,
Oh,
there
look
is.
at
there I
that.
am. Yeah.
There you are.
No Golf Club. Pretty
My new
impressive. Then
EP,
his
so-
indie.
New EP. Is that out now, Matthew?
I'm crowdfunding it currently. Actually, that's
So
why I'm here
that's-
today.
I
Oh.
thought we were going to talk maybe about crowdfunding from an expert. Because has anyone here tried to crowdfund?
My son has.
Your son has, right?
For he's a musician as well in New York, and they crowdfunded for a video they wanted to shoot for one of his songs, and succeeded.
Did they take the money and go on vacation?
No, they took the money and they
Right.
made the video, Louise.
Okay.
Well, how much? I mean, if you crowdfund something, how much of it do you still own? That's always been my question. Does the crowd own
No,
more?
No,
You own it.
You own
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The crowd's just helping you finance it.
So I think how
the crowd benefits from the end result of the work and incentives. Are there incentives, Matthew?
Yeah, I put a bunch of rewards together.
There you go.
I think what happens is this Indiegogo takes a percentage of everything you make.
Right, a
and
small
that's-
percent, it's like 5%.
And that's how they make their money.
Right.
And then people are incentivized to contribute because they simply want this product to exist.
Got it.
Yep.
And so if it's a video game or anything that they would just love it if it were a thing,
Yeah.
they
Whole companies
Oh, yeah, there
have
it
been
is.
launched on this thing. Whole
Yeah.
movies have been financed. Didn't Kristen Bell's
Veronica Mars.
Veronica
I backed
Mars.
that.
Did
Yeah,
you?
I did.
Yeah,
I got a T-shirt
The whole
for it.
the
You got a
Veronica
t-shirt.
Mars movie was basically like within a week they
Oh, yeah.
doubled their goal or
No, I'm
something.
not Veronica Mars, so mine's taking a little longer. But
All right, so let's look at the page and see how he's doing because we're gonna get you some more
Yeah, let's get you
Oh,
some
well,
more.
thank
get you
you.
some more hints. So all right, so how are we doing, Matt?
so I'm up to about 40%, and it's about halfway over. So the pace is all right. I need to pick it up a little to make it, but I have faith. I have a lot of really awesome.
All right, so for the
supporters
next
out
2
there.
minutes, this is a Matthew Jordan telethon.
Oh,
Larry,
great.
Is this yeah?
Matthew.
make him
We're
some
going to
money.
challenge all indie rockers out there
Oh, wow.
There you go.
who would like to support. And you know what? I'm going to support this, Matthew, because I
Thank
see
you.
my
I want
son.
to publicly thank Louise, who has been an amazing supporter on this campaign.
Yeah.
I supported, and then I promptly wrote to him and I said, I don't need the FaceTime call. And like
Yes,
some of the
yeah, I
other
had like
gifts
a
that
Skype.
came.
voice
And Matthew
lesson.
was like, you're getting a
You know,
T-shirt.
I will still give you a voice lesson if you'd like, Louise.
Oh.
Yeah. So what were some of the? So when you
So,
put your page together, they won't approve you unless you filled in all the fields. Correct.
Yeah, I mean, you can put as many as you want. I like plotted and planned to do this for about 3 years before I actually did it. I was like, I need to do this because I've never done one of these before. And I was kind of like biding my time. And the last time I released an EP, I did it digitally and I did like a pre-order through my YouTube, but I didn't, in my social media, but I didn't crowdfund it because I wasn't pressing up hard copies. And when you start to press up hard copies, there's a lot more costs. And I also happen to know that some of my really good fans and supporters and people who just are huge music supporters want to have a hard copy still. That's and which I love. But that just adds to the cost because you've got artwork, you've got pressing up CDs, you've got all that. And I just think that by crowdfunding it, it's just a much better way to promote your product and what you're doing than just saying, oh, I'm going to be releasing this. Okay, here it is. Oh, just reminding you, I released this. Please buy it.
Are you putting out vinyl?
I wasn't planning on it. If I raise an extra amount, that would be a fun thing to do. I haven't had quite enough of demand for that. I would love personally to do that. I just, from a perspective of cost, I don't know if that's like the most logical thing for me to do, even though like I own vinyl and I love vinyl. I think that's cool. But one of the things I'm doing that's a little different is like my $30 perk, which happens to be my favorite one, is I'm going to do like a custom piano-shaped USB drive, and I'm going to load not only my whole catalog, but a lot of like unreleased stuff and some of my like YouTube covers and like things that I've never put out into the world before. So it's going to be like a really good value for that because I'm going to have so much extra content besides, the stuff that's available commercially. And I think that's cool because then, of course, you can put that on your computer and then just, clear it off and you got a USB drive. So,
Yeah. So in addition to raising the money, it's also a great way to raise awareness and excitement about the project.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing, when you see bands and singer-songwriters, I'm doing a lot of this kind of stuff that you've seen before. Like, I'm offering house concerts. I'm offering like custom cover videos, stuff like that. But yeah, it's been, I had a couple of really rare older shirts from back when you and I first met that there's only 2 in the world left that a couple people bought, which was cool. But yeah, I just think it's a lot more interactive when you're getting people to help you make something rather than just saying, I made this, please buy it, and
so they feel like they're a part of it.
Yeah, people are
They're
really
invested.
becoming a part of it. And, this project, I'm intending to wrap it up, within a few months of the end of the crowdfunding campaign, which ends just about a month from today, like April 12th, I think it ends. And I've already got, about half the EP mostly recorded. So this is kind of more to help me finish it. And, it's not one of those things where people are going to have to wait a year and a half, which I've seen that happen before. And I understand sometimes, the process takes a while, but I don't want to make people wait for it. I want to get it out there. I'm really excited about it. So
when you do a crowdfunding page, you have to make a video. That's one of the ingredients that's mandatory, correct? So can you click on that, Dina, and we'll take a look at some of Matt's.
Had my pet bunny rabbit do a cameo at the beginning because she's so cute. I thought everyone would want to see her, and maybe they'd keep watching.
Yes, he did.
My
Kids and
theory was
animals.
that cute animal videos get a lot of hits.
I figured
Kids
you
and
had
animals.
rented a bunny for the shoot.
No, that's my actual pet bunny.
Yeah, put a fuzzy
It's pretty
bunny
funny
at the
to have a
top.
bunny.
We should do that for this, actually.
We should rent a
We
bunny.
should have an animal.
Although Will is our fuzzy bunny this week.
Great.
Hey,
He is quite
my name's
adorable.
Matthew Jordan, and I'm
Should
a
we pause and
singer-songwriter.
hold for? Is that it?
And this is Dandelion. There's
Oh,
my
there
pet bunny.
we
He's a
go.
very adorable
Dandelion.
bunny
Whoa.
rabbit. Now that I've distracted you guys with this cute animal, There you because I'm pretty sure cute animal videos always get the most hits, I'm going to tell you all about my brand new EP, Now check this out. Undeniable.
Don't you know we're undeniable?
So like I said, I'm a singer-songwriter, performer, and keyboard player. And if you guys are watching this right now, you might know me from some of my YouTube videos.
I won't give up on us. Even
Or you might know me from my work playing keys and backing up awesome artists like Sabrina Carpenter or the indie rock band Rooney, who I got the chance to tour with last year. It's been a few years since my last EP came out, and I've spent a lot of that time traveling and making music with some great artists, but man, I have been itching to get back to work on my own stuff. And that's why I'm filming this video today. I'm really excited to announce the launch of an Indiegogo campaign for my new EP, Undeniable. I got
That's
7 songs.
awesome.
Very cool.
Very cool.
You have 2 more minutes to donate. And what are the
Yes.
different? What are the
You
different?
guys can donate during this entire podcast. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine. But if you donate in the next 2 minutes,
Yeah,
I'll,
that's right.
What do you
his,
get?
his Indiegogo
anybody who
doesn't
donates
shut
in the
down.
next 2 minutes, I will, whatever you donate, I will give you the next reward up in the next 2 minutes.
Oh, that is a special offer. So when
Hold
do
on.
they get
What are
the
the
piano
rewards?
jump drive?
I'm probably going to get everything shipped out. Like, I'm hoping at the beginning of the summer. I'm shooting for June, July.
So everyone who donates gets a piano jump drive?
That's the $30 one. But I mean,
$30.
that means, right now, if someone picks the $20 package in the next 2 minutes, I'll give them one of those. So, hey, not bad.
$20
That's
you
a
get.
deal.
You get the jump drive for $20 in the next 2 minutes. 2 minutes, go.
So-
in fact, I'm going to duck out of the show because I'm going on right now.
Oh, hey.
Larry's
Gonna
donating
take
right
advantage
now.
of that. That's a good deal.
So they used to say this at the local telethon in Buffalo. I think it was Smiling Jack Smith used to say, "Don't give until it hurts, give until it feels good." I think he was touching himself when he said
I
that.
was going to say.
Wow.
Wow.
All
Was there a
right.
clown
Yeah, wow.
involved?
Well,
Every telethon seems to have a clown. I don't know.
So Matt, you've been on the road a lot, backing up artists like Rooney and Sabrina
Yeah.
Carpenter. How do you take to life on the road? Is that suitable to you?
It's been crazy over the last, I would say, 3 years. I have done so much travel. I've done more traveling than I have done the entire rest of my life combined, which is
Wow.
like, it's great. I mean, it's the cool, one of my favorite things about being on the road is just sitting here right now. I can just, like last summer, it was the first time I'd done like a tour bus tour. And I went out with Rooney, who are an awesome pop rock band. They're kind of like a Weezer sort of vibe. They've been around, since the early 2000s. They were signed to Interscope, and the frontman is a guy named Robert Schwartzman, who is Jason Schwartzman's brother.
Okay.
And I was a fan of them in college. So to then get invited to join that band was a dream come true for me, because it was the first time I'd worked with a band or artist that I was a huge fan of before I got involved. And we did a 6-week tour. It was about 35 shows, and it was all over the U.S. and a couple shows in Canada as well. We went up to Toronto and Montreal, and it was this thing where you wake up and you're okay, which city am I in today? I'm in Omaha. Okay, you kind of stumble off the tour bus, and you're probably in the middle of kind of like a hip area, because we're right outside the venue you're playing, and you kind of, okay, where's coffee? I need coffee. And you just spend the first part of the day just kind of getting your bearings of where you are.
Yeah.
And the second half is donated to sound check and doing the show, and you go back to sleep and wake up somewhere new again. And the thing that is really fun for me is I can look back and go, okay, random city. Well, let's see. Boston. Oh yeah, I have memories associated with Boston now. Oh, what's another random city? Oh, Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah, I remember that show. I remember I went to dinner with my friend such and such there. I have a concrete image of a memory of all these cities. And that's cool to me, just to think of and just seeing so many spots I hadn't been to. We went to Montreal, and it's like so European up there. It's a beautiful city. I was walking down in old Montreal, and it was a city I'd always wanted to visit. Hadn't gotten the chance to do that. So we actually had a day off there. We didn't have too many days off, but that was a fun day off. I just wandered around the whole city. You walk a lot when you're doing that
that's
on
fun.
tour, because, your bus is in the same spot, and you can Uber, but you're also like, okay, I want to save money while I'm out here, so I don't want to Uber everywhere. And then you also learn to appreciate things that you didn't appreciate before, like a good shower. Thankfully I had a gym membership, and would find a Planet Fitness in the area, and I could shower there, because there was a shower on the bus, but it was a bad one.
Yeah.
The bus was nice, but there are things that you learn to appreciate, being clean and getting a good night's sleep in an actual bed and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you just take those things for granted.
And not
Right.
not sleeping with another human being just within inches of you.
Yeah, 8 of
across
us in this little broom closet hall on the tour bus. 3 bunk beds to a side. There's 12 beds total, and I think there was I made the mistake early on. We switched buses, but I made the mistake early on of taking one of the top bunks, thinking it would be cool, but it's impossible to climb up into without stepping on someone's face. So I switched out of that to a bottom bunk really fast.
So you got your face stepped on every night.
The bottom one, usually people step on the middle one to get stay on the middle.
Strategies
See,
involved.
these are good tips.
Yeah.
This is great.
You can learn from playing Tetris.
It was basically like rock and roll summer camp. That's
You
how I
can
looked at
roll
it,
into the bottom one if you kind of had a
Yes,
couple of drinks
that's
and
right.
can't quite climb. Yeah.
So we have Will Kohlschreiber with us, and Will, you worked at Premiere. And
Yes.
you wrote all kinds of different content for us.
And
then
I was a limo driver.
You were.
I duplicated tapes and the tape. I
you
had
did every job.
every job.
You were every man.
Yeah.
Except I was not Steve Lehman. Pretty much everything else.
Yeah, everybody but the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of us were.
In fact, Will, I seem to remember that you had an alter ego at Premiere that still exists, I believe.
Oh, Larry was talking about this
That
earlier.
is true.
Will Kohlschreiber, and we'll get to more of his resume in just a moment, but during his stay at Premiere Networks, he was also the voice of Bert Guthrup.
That's right. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
And what's the origin of Bert?
Bert Guthrup, there was a period where
He was like an imaginary employee,
our
correct?
receptionist was getting constant calls from vendors asking, would you like to switch your business phone system over to Sprint?
Oh,
Would you
okay.
like to do this? Would you like to do that? And at some point, she just couldn't get them to leave her alone.
Yeah.
So she would say, hold on, let me connect you to Bert Guthrup. That's his department.
Who was the receptionist when this happened?
It was that it spanned several.
Yeah, many.
But was it
Yeah.
Virgie who started it?
It may have started, or
Yeah.
the one. She had an English accent.
Emma.
Emma.
Yeah. I believe it was Emma.
Yeah, Emma. Yes.
Emma she was good at that kind of.
So you would get
Yes.
a voice message that was actually Will. This is Bert Guthrup. I'm not available right now. Please leave a message. And we would check it. I think Helen Ledesma, bless her heart, Helen Bartolotti would check it, and there would be, you have over 100. It maxed out at 100.
Wow.
Forever. Just hundreds and hundreds of
She
messages.
sent everybody to Bert.
But it would be like Hi, this is Dan at Sprint again, Bert. This is my 4th call. And they would get like belligerent about it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really hoping that you will get back in touch with me. I can save you a lot of money on your business phone system.
Imagine how many hits
So
are
that-
out on Bert Guthrie.
I know. If you've
I
left
think he's
messages
still
for
there.
Bert, I'm sorry. Oh, I've
still
heard that.
there.
I've heard he's still there.
He's
yeah.
still there.
Unless they,
Maybe we can call it before
my
the
gosh.
But
end of the
at
podcast.
some point, you worked your way into the news business and flying in helicopters. Because the next thing I knew, I looked up and Will was the traffic reporter, and I wasn't okay with him being up there.
Yeah, he was on TV
Yeah.
doing it.
yeah.
For Channel 11.
Channel 11, Channel
For a while.
4, Channel 5 briefly. But it was one of those things. I kind of weaseled in the back door of filling in as a traffic reporter, and then they needed somebody in the airplanes, and they needed somebody in the helicopters, and one thing led to it. Was just one of those things. One thing led to another.
So imagine if you will that you're flying over Trump traffic and you're trying to guide.
That's a lot of imagination.
Joe
They would
Cipriano.
shoot me down at that point, quite frankly.
But imagine you were right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear the traffic report. If you were allowed to be on top of his traffic.
There's some big ass black limousine just skunking up the works right now.
That doesn't say. You've been out of practice.
There obviously there's a SIG alert there. There has to be a SIG alert.
How do you qualify for a SIG alert?
It's actually a real thing. A 30-minute lane closure, unplanned lane closure, 30 minutes or more is a SIG alert. It was named after an old program director at KMPC AM radio back in the
Named
day.
SIG? Or
Sigmund, yes.
named Alert?
Alert.
Yeah, it is, and it's exclusive to the Los Angeles area.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else uses that term except
I
LA
thought it had
traffic.
to do with like signals being out or something like that.
You would think.
One
and
would.
it should.
One
but no.
would.
But
it's
we're LA, so
But it's
you
a
know.
guy named Sig.
All right, so as I was Googling Will, and you can Google him if you'd like, Dina, because I know you're interested in cyber stalking him.
Wait, what does that
Whoa.
mean? Well, hold
Well,
on.
Dina cyber stalks all of us. That's her
okay.
job.
Oh, that's right.
Job. Okay.
So Will has put together something called Drone Dazzle.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have
Dazzle.
that? Yeah, Drone Dazzle.
This is kind of
And
amazing.
what happens? So you describe it, Will.
Well, I mean, with the advent of drones, and now that we can be commercially licensed to fly drones, I went ahead and went through that process. I realized that a lot of what we do in the TV helicopters, the TV news helicopters, can be accomplished with a lot less effort and a whole lot less money,
Right.
using unmanned aircraft.
I can't believe somebody else hasn't thought of this ahead of time, and it's good that you're on the ground floor. Because ground floor, because drones fly. Come on, Dina. This is the A material.
But Larry, when you go to Will's drone drizzle, drone
Drizzle? Drone drizzle.
Drizzle.
That's the next step.
Oh!
when you go, oh, if you're, I just got drone
that's,
poop. I just got drone poop.
no, that's the same. That's the same business, but Snoop Dogg started that one.
Yeah, for shizzle.
So when you go to the site, it asks the pressing question, Larry.
Yes?
Are you still launching a helicopter to shoot B-roll?
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't I be?
It sounds like the same, like right after the question of like, don't you hate it when your electronics get all tangled in a drawer? There's a solution to that problem.
Well, drones right now, drones aren't at the point yet where they can. I mean, they're nowhere near police pursuit, following stuff like that. Really dynamic breaking news situations. But
B-roll.
B-roll, yeah.
Yeah.
What if you, for an
Explain
instance,
B-roll to.
Sure. B-roll is just background video. In other words, say for instance, this is a real one that I shot. Toys R Us going out of business. A lot of people losing their jobs and stuff. Normally, what you would see as B-roll is people working at the cash register at Toys R Us, maybe some toys on a shelf or something. I went out and shot one of the stores that's actually closing down and did, kind of a nice elevator shot, and it's and that stuff. It's not going to draw the kind of money that breaking news does, but it's a nice, unique perspective.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. You wake up every morning, you look through the news, and then you send your drones up to
I have
get
to drive
shots
somewhere
of
generally,
whatever
yes.
might be in the news.
Yeah.
So do you have ongoing customers who call you up and say, hey, do you have any aerial Toys R Us footage?
I'm working on that. I'm working on
This
that.
is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm working
It's a
on that.
great,
Great
idea.
idea.
Yeah.
And honestly, film and television, you can see them now. I mean, helicopter shots used to be all the rage when you'd want to get cityscapes and establishing shots. And drones are infinitely more adept at getting into tighter spaces.
Tighter
They're
spaces.
smoother.
Super
and
smooth.
The cameras can be so small now. I mean, was just watching something the other night. Those back in the 70s, like some Clint Eastwood movie, they would deliver the final line, but suddenly it cuts like way far away, so they've overdubbed the lines, and then there's this jittery shot
Yeah.
that pulls back, and as the closing credits, it goes off into the ocean. Now they're these incredibly tight, like literally hovering shots, still as can be, and then suddenly they pull back, and all of a sudden you're down a river, and it's just it's amazing. It's like, and if
It's amazing.
if you're not conscious of the fact that, oh well, that's a good drone shot, but they do
Right.
amazing things.
I mean, there's still a lot of applications for manned aircraft. Don't get me wrong, but the drones are slowly.
Now, what about, are you worried about legislation that might kind of restrict where these things are going to go? Because there are people abusing that. There's already been some problems.
There are.
I know it's not you.
people
Or Drone Drizzle is not.
drone. Now blame Drone Drizzle.
Yeah.
It's them.
It's all their fault.
Yeah. No, I mean, on the local level, they're kind of addressing privacy issues. On the federal level, they're addressing more of the safety issues. But people are going to mess. I mean, it's only a matter of time where, unfortunately, somebody does something really, really, really bad with one.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that, but hopefully not. And
Which reminds me, can you look in on my neighbor's backyard and so I can know what the hell they're doing over there?
Yeah, they're up to something.
Because those trees are too tall and we can't peek through the fence.
Yeah.
oh, I would never do that.
He's handing me his rate card.
So how many drones do you own?
I actually own 2 right now.
And are you good at flying them?
I need work.
Is there a
I
learning
need work.
curve?
There is a learning curve, but the really, really new ones almost do everything I think you need to practice the essentials, how to go around something and keep it in frame, and because literally you can push a button and it'll do it for you.
Yeah.
But I'm more of a hands-on. I like looking at it.
We could have used like a drone shot of this podcast
Yeah, just the whole time.
when you come back.
Okay.
There it
there
is.
you go.
Oh, there it is.
That is
Thank
a beautiful
you,
shot.
drone.
Look how steady it is.
My favorite drone footage, and you can find so many of them on the internet now, is either abandoned real estate developments or even better, abandoned amusement parks.
There's some creepy ones.
There's some creepy
It's
ones.
like you've been sent into a Scooby-Doo episode, and
Oh, yeah.
here's
Yeah,
There's this creepy Wizard of Oz one in one of the eastern states. I don't remember where that is, but I've seen pictures.
Like
and
they
it's
tried to create an
yes,
which
they
nobody's
tried to
ever
create,
heard
they
of
called
before.
the Land of Oz, and it was somewhere super random. Like,
and now it's all overgrown.
it's like somewhere really random, like South Carolina or
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And
Yeah.
now
And
it's just creepy.
It's really weird because you can see elements of like Matthew said, you can see there's Munchkin Land, but it's all overgrown and there's
Dilapidated,
weeds
creepy
everywhere
Munchkin
and
Land, yes.
plaster animals with arms hanging off and stuff.
They've also got some great stuff around Chernobyl, which was abandoned
Yes.
30 years ago, and there's some just entire city blocks that have been like the end of time,
Yeah.
and they've flown them in Chernobyl. There's a cool drone video of a giant cave in Vietnam that they've flown a drone down into. That it's just the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
pretty
that
stuff.
is very
Pretty stuff.
That's a
exciting.
great idea.
I still do the traffic reporting now. I'm working for KFI now and then, AM 640, which our old boss, Mr. Tim Kelly, used to work at ages and ages and ages ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
It all overlaps, Will.
So did I. I answered his phones.
Now, do you have
Did you
Will's?
really?
Yeah.
Really?
I did.
You worked at KFI?
Yeah, I was he and Evelyn.
Oh, that's where you met Tim.
Yeah, I was his phone turkey on the weekends.
So we have an interesting Vimeo of Will, and I assume that this is mandatory. It's your reel that you used to send people back in the radio days. You'd send people your reel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you have
fun.
your reel up on Vimeo.
Good morning,
Oh, I
I'm
think
Will
that's-
Kohlschreiber with this Fox News update.
Oh, yeah,
President
the TV
Obama
role.
firing back today at critics of his health care reform plan.
This isn't about me.
Some dramatic video out of Milwaukee showing good Samaritans pulling a mother and her 2 children out of a burning car.
Forgot about this. Oh my God.
Firefighters also suffering
Does
some
he
minor
look
burns,
dashing?
but they say it was worth it and they'd do it again.
We have a lot going on.
I would hire
traffic-wise.
this guy right
This
here.
big mess in the 405 is even getting bigger.
It is just an awesome
One of our
sight.
many brush fires.
Just
Yeah.
the red
huge red
Did you live
clouds
through
over
this,
the
Will?
This
the
was the
skyline
station
there.
fire.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just
Oh,
don't
really?
know how you stop something like this. It's just so big and moving so quickly, and it seems like the best you can do
And
is
you were
just
up in
get
that
out of the
helicopter?
way.
Can you breathe it?
It was like a Saturday morning at 4
these men
a.m.
and
It was the
women are
most
doing amazing
crazy
jobs.
thing.
This
And
is
the situation. We have this
Oh,
cutting doesn't
weather.
out here
There
in
we
the
go.
Pacific Ocean, and
He
what
did it
that
all.
means
He
is
moves
it's a
clouds
low that's kind
around
of all
with his
by
hand.
itself. Doesn't really have any direction.
So Nick is calling us from college.
Hey, Nick.
There's Nick.
Hey, how you
There
doing?
he
Hey.
is.
Where are you,
All right.
Nick?
I'm in Montevallo, Alabama.
Oh wow.
Excellent. What year of college are you in?
I am a sophomore. in
And you are
college,
studying?
studying environmental studies and photography.
When you study environmental studies, is there like some unspoken pressure to keep your room really clean?
I wouldn't say. If there is, I'm not necessarily the best
Example, yeah.
example.
All right.
Yeah.
It's decently clean, but my roommate makes it kind of hard.
Oh, it's
Got
the
it.
roommate's
It's-
fault.
yeah, it's the
There you
roommate.
go.
Yeah.
We're gonna send a drone over. So Nick, you and I have been talking about the sort of social pressure of social media, and you had raised the issue that technology is purposefully addictive, and that's the business model.
Yes, at least for the applications. The hardware, that's not their business model because, they have a product to sell. They make money off the hardware, but for the applications, at least, it's a whole different business model.
Right. So there are now treatment facilities for you to send your children if you believe they're addicted to their smartphone.
Wow.
And because it's kind of like operating on the same pleasure centers that an opioid would be working on, and to have that immediate gratification is becomes as addictive as some substance that you're putting inside of your
Sure.
body.
Yeah.
And
'Cause
Makes sense.
Receiving a like, receiving
Yep.
a subscriber, that's a dopamine release.
right.
It's validation. You're getting addicted to the validation.
Yeah. So we were reading this article in Variety, if you can click on that for a moment, Dina. And they talk about the addictive qualities of technology and what we can do as humans. Like there's a lot of analogies that you instantly want to draw. Like someone drew the analogy that food can be addictive too, but you can't blame the food. You still have to have food, and so we do have to use technology. And so how do we pace ourselves, or how do we learn how to delay gratification, or how do we just learn basic self-control? It's not that easy if you're giving a phone to a child at 12 and really not enforcing when the screen time is, or how, at what point do you turn your phone off and focus on what's in front of you. Because some parents are just like, here's your phone, and
Babysitter.
and that way I can do what I want to do.
Right.
But
Right.
and then on top of the addictive nature of the phone itself, there's these applications where their business model is literally to keep you engaged. And there's a quote in the article where the founder of Netflix said, our greatest competition is sleep.
Yeah.
So his goal is for you to stay up all night.
Right.
Like that's a victory for him.
Yeah.
And Nick, you have some thoughts on this.
Yeah. I'm really interested in, childhood psychology and stuff like that. And parenting is really fascinating to me. So I think, there is, like one of y'all mentioned, like babysitting, and definitely it's easy for a parent. I mean, it's tough. I haven't raised one, but it's tough to raise a kid. And so having a phone, having an iPad to just say, here, YouTube Kids, infinite stream, like that's an easy go-to. But I mean, it's fucking the kids over, pardon my language. But so I think we really need to place a lot of responsibility on parents, going back to basics outside, actually living life rather than, no technology days, or no technology hours.
You know, just like our parents thought about television, like how much should they really be looking at it.
Yeah.
But you probably didn't realize that with this interactive type of media, it would be even possibly more addictive than television was.
Yeah, I actually saw the connection between the two because I recognized how much television I watched, which was all the time. I mean, I think it's always going to be something. And I think I probably filled my time with the 3 channels that I grew up with in my own town, which seems ridiculous now. But there was always something, even if that's how mindless it would be, is that with only 3 channels, there was bound to be nothing that I was really interested in, but I would just have it on and stare at it because it was a thing to watch until something came on later.
I mean, it's pretty much the only reason anyone ever watched Let's Make a Deal.
So it
was on.
I really enjoyed Let's Make a Deal. Thank you very much. But so I saw the connection to that. But I think, you know, what Nick is saying is right, is that it is incumbent upon the parent. I mean, I actually I drove by a school today. I had to kind of slow down as there were a lot of foot traffic going on. Parents were picking up kids. And I saw a parent barely paying attention to their child as they were walking across a crosswalk because the parent was looking at the phone and texting
that's when you
somebody.
hit the accelerator.
And so it goes both ways. That clearly is a family where both the parent and the child was actually trying to have a conversation with the parent, and it wasn't happening. So it can go either way. I mean, the fact that we just had a national effort, a national unplugged day that I would suspect is getting fewer and fewer people involved every year.
Well, you'd have to read about it online.
I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah,
so
March 9th and 10th. It just happened because you know why? Nobody can do it anymore. It's just impossible. You can't go 24 hours or even whatever it's supposed to be, sunset to sundown or to sunset or whatever it was supposed to be.
Yeah, and I don't even know if stuff like that is the answer. It's sort of like, it just reminds me of anorexia. You know, you can't just cure your food problems by not eating, and I don't think you can correct a overuse of technology by going cold turkey. I think
just one day a year.
Yeah, I think you have to manage it every day. You know, give yourself something to look forward to. I'm not going to look at my phone right now. I'm with these people. Well, let's put our phones, you know, you can have a pact with your friends where you say, let's put our phones down. Let's have this meal.
Or put yourself in a situation where it's an activity that you literally can't do anything else but that activity, you know.
Right.
It's true. I end up flying a lot for gigs and stuff, and like flying across the country, like rarely do I buy internet unless I have a lot of work to do. And it's like, I actually can't go online for 6 hours. This is okay. All right.
Yeah, that's kind of refreshing. I mean, when they started making internet more available on planes, I was actually a little kind of disappointed in that because that was about the only time I ever felt like I didn't have to be connected, and it was. I mean, it was a
book.
It was a bummer to get off the plane and have 127 emails they had to scroll through. But that period of time that you just couldn't be available was just glorious.
It's a relief.
Really.
But when we were addicted to television, we may have been looking at people who we were never going to look like. But currently, social media is pecking away at your self-esteem in other more insidious ways. It's not only are you comparing yourself to other people, but that you may know those people and they may not be liking your picture when their picture got 200 likes. So there's other ways, Nick, that you find it soul crushing, correct?
Yeah, yes. And you know, a lot of it isn't necessarily like because of there's like harmful content. I mean, of course there are, you know, and there is, but a lot of it comes down to, you know, you have self-conscious kids that don't fit in at school. Like I'm so lucky that in middle school and stuff, I didn't have, like, Instagram wasn't a thing, you know, because, you know, with Instagram, it's curated, it's filtered, it's not an accurate representation of life, but it's still real people and it's still real places and real situations. So, you know, our mind, that's real. I mean, that's just like, so you see all that and it's like that whole FOMO, that fear of missing out, like, and it can really put you in a, especially if you know you're not having the best day, or like you haven't done anything fun that week, or whatever, and you see all that, and it's like, well, what am I doing? Like, what's good in my life?
And it's almost like the impulse that causes you to look at it is that you're not feeling good and you want to be entertained, or you want to see something that makes you feel better,
Right.
and you only see things that continuously make you feel worse.
Right. And it's, in that point you made about, with the parent on their phones and kids trying to, I notice that all the time. I have to go get these asthma shots every other week. And so I'm in the lobby in the doctor's office, and I put my audiobook on and kind of just sit. But I noticed that so much everyone in the lobby is on their phones. It'll be a 4-year-old kid on an iPad and their dad on Facebook. And it's like, and it's all deeper rooted than this, but it goes back to, in the, World War II yellow journalism. Like, in my opinion, this is like the same kind of thing. It's just, a stimulus to an easy escape to because our world is so wild right now. And so that it's like an easy out.
It's a
and
numbing.
people take it.
Numbing.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
we've talked about that here before, which is because you have access to so much more information, not to mention you are being influenced by so many different images and so much different immediate response. There is a what's that word?
Desensitization?
Yeah, that's
that
probably it. I think there is a point at which that you become a little bit numb to
Or that
some of that.
You might even become purposefully, like John walked in today.
Like
and
it's a self-defense mechanism.
Yeah, like John walked in today and he was like, John Maddox, our tech guy, he walked in and he goes, I'm just going to stop listening to the news. Like, he was having one of those days where he just, first of all, it's not just our phones. It's like, if you have cable, if you're ancient, like I am, and you have cable, it's always on because you feel like right now our country's in a state of emergency. So it's like we've been hitting the emergency brake for the past year and we're still skidding and we don't know what we're going to crash into, but we're going to crash into something.
Right.
So I better have the TV on in case we're doing it right now. I better be ready.
The crazy thing about social media stuff is that people are on it all the time, but it's not even for comprehension. People do it mindlessly. And I have a little anecdote of something that happened to me recently in the marketing of like my crowdfunding we were talking about. And, Instagram has stories now where you post like what you're doing in that moment and it disappears within 24 hours, whatever. And so I posted a few stories in a row about a week ago about where my campaign was. And it's the kind of thing where you click through real quick and like, I used kind of text and a screenshot of the campaign, but it's like this is to way date myself before my time, but remember the old Burma Shave ads. It's like billboards in a row.
Right.
Messages.
On
And
a
I kind
highway.
of used my Instagram story for that, but like 5 in a row, like, hey, just to remind you, I'm doing this campaign. Click, we're at 40%. Click, the link is on my page. Click, here's a screenshot. And I noticed somebody who I knew was a fan of mine had watched those stories and she hadn't donated yet. So I do a little guerrilla marketing with it. I wrote her and said, oh, I saw that you looked at my stories for my campaign. She was like, you have a crowdfunding campaign going on? It's like, you looked at 5 different stories. Oh, I just click through everything while I'm in class. I don't pay attention.
Yeah.
Like you click through 5 different ones in a row.
Right.
And
It's
you
like
had no idea.
wallpaper.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, pretty.
She's like, oh, I didn't know you were doing that, but I'll donate. I'm like,
because she didn't.
You've liked photos of my page for my what?
She was just like aesthetically appreciative.
Yeah.
Or is something about the idea that, hey, I was active. I was on your thing. I watched. I viewed. Make sure that I am recognized that I was
viewed.
there.
I have no idea what I saw.
Even though I didn't pay attention at all.
This authenticates our knowledge of each other. Boom.
Yes.
Moving on.
We have a relationship. Bye.
And the whole thing, the whole social media thing also is just so many people are so busy projecting the life that they wish they were living more so than. I mean,
it's fake.
Or thinking, what I'm doing should be getting more attention than it gets.
Yes,
so
yes.
I'm not doing it right.
No, it's
I
like
didn't have the right filter.
nobody barely ever posts like, all the terrible things that happened to them that day. And if they do, everyone's like, what's wrong with that person?
Yeah. You feel so guilty because people.
Like, I feel
I've
awkward
erased
reading
things
this.
later because people are like, "Well, you're a real downer today, aren't you?" You know, it's
Yeah.
like, "Well, oh, sorry, I'm not as glamorous as you today."
Sorry, I was being honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but like at the same time, like I don't need a close up of your ingrown toenail. Like I don't like there's oversharing.
Yes.
It's just like, oh, I thoughts and prayers about my toenail, you know.
It's funny you mentioned that. I could show you one.
Oh, you do?
no.
Okay. You have to cut it at an angle.
Oh, okay.
Thoughts and prayers are not enough for toenail. We need toenail reform.
Hey,
right, Nick.
I wanted to ask Nick one thing real quick.
Yeah.
Nick,
Yes.
do you sense a trend with people, say in your immediate surroundings, your group of friends or whatever? Because I've kind of seen my son, who's 26, he's a little older than you, how many of them have become a little arm's length of social media. They're not using it that much unless it is specifically like Matthew, unless it's to market something like something creative they're doing. Are you seeing a trend around people that you know where usage is changing or they're backing away from it? Anything at all that you could say is just a general observation?
Well, so for people that I personally like, my friends and stuff, we're pretty good about it.
Define good. You're
I mean,
constant and your content is really creative.
No,
Okay.
no, my Instagram is a joke. Like, you can find my cats. You know, it's like, and it's, you know, I might post like once every 2 months. Or
Okay, wow.
Like, but so I'm from New Orleans, and now I'm in Montevallo, Alabama, and my school is, has 3,200 people, and it's a tiny town. And so, our activities include, laying on the ground out front of my dorm room for 3 hours. Like,
What? You kids are lit.
I would watch that.
But Nick, so it's kind of like it's almost like off the grid in a way. It's like, oh, I'm on this boat, and and I don't have to compete with people who are on land. Like you're in a
Right.
college sort of enclave.
right.
Whereas, and is it the same with the girls? Because I think girls can be a little bit more competitive in terms of how they look. Matthew's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's like because
Yeah.
you're
Not to generalize or anything, but
no, but you're a
Yeah.
handsome boy and you don't have to prove anything. But girls always feel this pressure. I think that they have to look cute on Instagram.
Well, so I mean, I wouldn't even say it's just girls. Like, there's a lot of people that are here, fall into, especially in like the Greek life here.
Mm-hmm.
It's the culture is very fraudulent, and and
Good way to describe it.
that's almost a nice way of putting it. Yeah, I get it.
but it's like, because every now and then, because I don't really go out. I mean, it's not that I'm antisocial, but I kind of just stick with who I know and stuff. But I'm open to anybody, right? So it's like every now and then, I'll get called over or something, and it's nice because I get to observe and see what's going on. But I mean, people here are definitely very addicted to all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I'm like above it, because it is no issue for me to pull out Instagram and then be on my bed for 2 hours, just like so, but it's important to know that about ourselves, know that we're vulnerable. Our minds are so vulnerable. We have to be like guardians, of our own heads. So
I think you kind of really hit on it right there, Nick.
Yeah.
It's like there is no answer other than each of us needs to learn how to live in moderation when it comes to anything that's tempting and attractive and potentially addictive.
Yeah.
Whether it's food or alcohol, or people can over exercise, people can over gamble, people can overdo anything. Your whole life is really trying to find a balance.
definitely.
That's what we're
Yeah,
all.
because it's not going away. So
Right.
it's really much like we talked about with when television became, so prevalent and add everything to that. When music started changing, when hip hop came in, I mean, everybody has their thing that's going to be a bad influence, especially on young people. And then it's just a matter of self-regulation.
Regulation, yeah.
Self-regulation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, we're going to move on. Do you want to stick with us? We're going to go to things we found online.
Oh, goody.
Because we have
do it.
something.
Oh, hey, that's the name of the podcast.
That is the
How
name.
clever.
Oh my God.
And occasionally we actually address it.
Yeah. Occasionally we actually.
Cut
So-
to Will.
Yeah, so Dina found something that Russell Crowe is up to that I find somewhat distressing.
I think most things that Russell Crowe are up to are somewhat
Right?
I think
distressing.
that's
Is he beating us?
Right.
pretty
so
much-
manage your expectations.
Yeah.
Bar fight?
It is Russell Crowe. Go ahead, Dina.
So, okay, I should talk about it. All right,
Yeah.
so he's getting divorced.
Uh-oh.
That's somewhat
and
distressing.
he needs to make a little bit
Oh,
of
Lord.
cash. What? So,
Oh, Lord. Is he
It's gonna
actually
be-
toasting this?
I guess it was cheaper to keep her. So now he's got to sell off some stuff to make it work.
The art of
The Art
divorce.
of Divorce. He made this like really snazzy poster, which is kind of like my
With an
favorite thing
old-fashioned
about
or-
this.
He's wearing a
Yeah.
tuxedo
Very
and he's
classy.
toasting with a scotch, like that guy in the posters who's the most interesting man in the
Oh,
world.
yeah, yeah.
Can you describe what's up for sale so that
So,
people
okay,
can?
there's
So, what
this-
website do they go to, Dina?
I mean, I guess you can go to Sotheby's.
Yeah, go to Sotheby's and Google,
You
or just
can-
Google Russell
right,
Crowe
exactly.
auction.
So there's a lot of stuff from Gladiator.
Gladiator.
Yeah. Two, not one but two.
He's auctioning
prop
a horse.
horses.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
prop horse.
Yeah, they're not real horses.
Oh, damn! I wanted the actual.
And that's what I'm going to actually use the funds from my crowdfunding for to buy one of those horses.
That's his cod piece for Cinderella
Which I
Man.
think it says
Wow.
the estimate there is honestly priceless.
Boxer's protector.
It's basically
he-
a jock.
he-
It's a jock strap.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
the
But-
cod piece is from Gladiator. What are you talking about?
No, but are you saying, Dina, that Russell Crowe's junk was in this?
Yes.
That's
item?
why it's honestly
Yes.
priceless.
That's-
He's saying that
That's
his
priceless.
crotchal region sweat is priceless.
Has it been washed?
We hope not.
Hope not.
Can you imagine having
The price would go
So
down.
the tagline is not crotchless; it's priceless.
It's not junk if it's held Russell Crowe's junk.
He needs to hire us.
I know. We've come up with better marketing slogans than he could. Wow.
Wow. And Larry, what did you find online? You found something online.
I did find something online. I just thought this would be a nice. I mean, we talked about the internet and the terrible influence it can be on the young children. As Nick is a prime example because he can barely contain himself today. I'm just kidding.
Truth.
But to me, there's nothing better on the internet than when one species of animal hops on the back of another species of animal and rides around on that animal.
That's the definition of the word adorable.
Yeah,
I
because and this is in the grand tradition of, say, baby monkey riding on a pig, which is one of my favorite videos of all time. And Adina, you let me know if I can stop stalling because I pretty much explained the heck out of it. This is a corgi riding on a horse.
A corgi riding on a horse, everybody. In the dark?
Yeah, you can see it. Take a good look.
Aww.
And
It's like a
corgi on a horse.
Corgi
Bye-bye.
horse.
pony or something.
Into the
Corgi on a
dark.
pony.
And they
Corgi
were-
riding on a pony.
And they were amused as well.
For absolutely no reason. I mean, now, look, we all know that corgis are squat little animals.
Yeah, they are.
So
Nice center of balance.
It didn't hop down. When
how'd
the
that
horse
thing
started
get up
moving.
there?
I think they had human
I think he
help.
was
You think so?
placed.
Yeah. Human help.
Oh, I know. A drone.
Oh,
That's
They
the
should have got drone footage of
drone-
the corgi.
a
riding
drone
on the pony.
dripping.
tying it all
drone
together.
drizzle.
A drone.
Will,
yeah.
get on that.
I
We want to see. We
All
want to
right,
see that
so-
shot from above. Follow
don't-
it all the way through that pasture.
wanted to see where they went off into the dark there.
So in our new feature, Facebook Feed Time, I found the following post, and I don't know if you can find this link because what's funnier, I think, or more entertaining than the post itself was the responses. I don't know if you have access to that, but it's Mason Reese, the adorable little boy from the Smorgasbord. I don't know what commercials was he in.
Deviled ham.
Yeah. All right. So there's Mason Reese, and he
and Jack in the Box. I think no, that was a different kid.
Yeah, Mason Reese wrote, "Hello to all my ladies here on Facebook land." So,
I love it already.
so I'm looking for a new cologne/fragrance. Men and women have very different senses of smell, and I'd love to hear from you about your favorite cologne/scent on a man. Ladies only on this, please. Okay, the first 7 responses were from men.
Of course.
Dina, you're closer. Please read some of these. This is just, it's. I wish I could smell these answers because they're that good.
Okay, so should I just start anywhere?
Yeah, but say their names. Let's give everybody credit for weighing in.
So Allison Arngrim.
Oh, she's another former child star.
She says,
What does she recommend?
I always buy cologne for Bob when I'm in France. Chanel, the Chanel number 5 people, makes a men, in case you didn't know.
What happened?
Is that Chanel number 6?
Makes a men's cologne called Bleu. That's great.
Bleu, like the French for blue. Bleu.
Oh, I like this response. Anime Beekman. She says, Quorum, it has pheromones. That's not how you spell it, though. Yeah. Women go crazy over it. I've given it to some single guy friends, and all women go crazy over it. Guaranteed.
He got over 200 responses.
Yeah,
to
because
this
he's
question.
famous. And I guess, I mean, my personal preference, because I'm a lady, so I'm qualified to answer Mason, is no cologne.
Oh.
Just,
Yeah.
Someone recommends Tim McGraw's Southern Blend.
I recommend actual Tim McGraw. Just spread all over you.
Wow.
Tim
Wow.
McGraw sweat.
Like Matthew was just like, yeah, mental image, no, don't make me. So yeah, if you follow anybody who's famous on Facebook, you can see that all the people that they're friends with are, other people that are famous like them. So it's interesting to know what they smell like on any given day, right?
At one point, Mason pops on and says, "Do people not fully read what I wrote? Women only!"
All right. I'm glad he was throwing down the gavel.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, Mason, don't you know? Never engage. Never engage.
Oh, he knows what he's doing. He's a clever man. All right. So then we have our other feature, is what I like to call What's Twitter Trending. And so what's Twitter trending? Yesterday, apparently, hashtag fire someone politely was trending.
Oh.
Okay.
And my favorite tweet came from Big Mocker. He wrote, "You've been promoted to customer." It's a nice spin. It's
I
a
like
nice
that.
spin. Yeah.
You've been promoted to
You've been
customer. I'm
promoted
gonna have
to
to think
customer.
about that for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
I liked it. All right, Matt, please tell people where they can find and crowdfund your new.
Oh, it's on Indiegogo. If you just go to Indiegogo and look up Matthew Jordan, you'll find it. You can go to MatthewJordan.com. There's a huge link on there. Any of my social media, my Instagram is Matthew Jordan Music, and there's a link right there in my bio. Really pretty easy to find. So, but check it out on Indiegogo.
And Matthew Jordan is the real deal. He is pure music. This guy is talent. You're going to love
Thank
it.
you, Louise. I appreciate that.
And where can people find you, Will Kohlschreiber?
That would be dronedazzle.com. If anything you want to know about me, or you want to hire me to scope out your. No, I'm not really going to scope out your neighbors, Larry. Sorry.
No.
What?
Well,
All right.
they probably want to know a few things about you too.
All right.
There's got to be a price.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have a dark web version of your website somewhere? We can talk later.
Yeah.
Drone Dungeon.
Drone Dungeon. Oh my God, you're making me think of all kinds of things. That's the Pornhub version.
I want to thank Dina Friedman, John Maddox,
Sorry.
bowing out, Larry Morgan, Will Kohlschreiber, Matthew Jordan. I'm Louise Planker. We miss you, Joe Cipriano.
Oh, we hope you
Next
get home
week,
one day.
We have an exciting week.
What?
Actually, I'm glad that Trump came to
Maybe
town
he'll be
this
here
week.
by next week.
Because next week we have Joe's good friend Jim Moret, who has personally interviewed Stormy Daniels. It's all going on next week
dang.
on Things I Found
Wow.
Online. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment because we love you and we want to be your new favorite podcast. Goodbye, everybody.
Enjoy the video I sent you of things I found in the air, and we will see you next week. Cheers. I don't even know what these things are.